we're going to go ahead and try to get started here as soon as we get queued up.
The door? Okay, good, thanks. Mhm. We're ready whenever you are.
Okay, now that it looks like we got AT&T all connected here. First of all, good morning, and thank you for coming up. I know we have assessors from up and down the state. Welcome, and thank you for coming up. With that, let me just officially reconvene our meeting of yesterday at, I guess it's 10:04. And I'll have Ms. Cicchetti, if she would please first call the first order of business here.
All righty, good morning, everyone. The first item on today's agenda is item 16, Annual Board Meeting with County Assessors. The theme for this meeting is Serving Those in Need.
Before we get to that item, I just want to say I'd like to,
We'll do some opening remarks in a minute. Is that what you want?
pardon me?
You want to do some opening remarks or what?
No, I was going to say, as to yesterday's session, before we get into this session, I wanted to change my vote from no to yes on confirming the list of meetings for 2024. I realize now we can't tell just how busy we're going to be, and whether we need 1, 2, or 3 days. Those are decisions we're going to have to make next year. So I reversed my no vote to a yes vote in support of.
We got our legal team coming up, and
Yep.
let's see how we do this here.
Yeah.
Because we didn't officially close the meeting yesterday, so are we still able to go back to that?
So you'll need to sorry, Julia
Call the
Himowitz
item?
on behalf of the BOE Legal Department. You'll need to recall the item, vote to reopen the item, and then recall and take another vote.
Another vote. Okay. Ms. Cicchetti, I guess we're going to have you do a little bit of research here.
No, we're good.
Yeah,
Oh,
so somebody would make a motion to reopen that
Make a
vote.
motion to reopen.
What was the item? We need the number though, don't we?
The item number is.
All right, Mary.
You're gonna test me here.
I told you you had to do a little bit of research.
I want to say right off the bat, it's 9, but I'm not gonna.
I think you might be right.
It's 12.
Oh,
Number,
12.
it's number 11.
Oh,
Oh,
We're-
11.
we're
close.
doing the board meeting dates and property tax calendar for 2024, which was presented by Ms. Stowers, is item 11.
And I guess technically or procedurally, it has to be somebody that was on the yay side, right? It can't be somebody on the negative opening it up. Is that correct?
This
Or at
is,
least on the-
this is just a
Recall the
motion to
item.
recall the item.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes,
So
thank
you
you.
go-
So
so we
there's
had
a
Mr.
motion from
Go ahead.
Mr. Schaefer.
You moved to reopen item 11,
Open it, yes.
and I'll second that. That's all
Right.
right. So then we need to recall it.
Yeah, hold on a second. All right, I have a motion on the table to recall item number 11, presented by Mr. Schaefer and seconded by Chair Vasquez. I'm going to take roll. Chair Vasquez?
Aye?
Vice Chair Lieber?
Aye.
Mr. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Emron?
Aye.
So that's unanimous of all those present.
Now we reopened it. Do we need further proceeding to?
So you'll recall that item
Yep.
and then take another roll call vote.
Got it. You're on, Mr.
Call the
Chair.
item.
You're gonna
Just recall the
Oh,
item.
I have to call the item. Oh, I
Sorry.
apologize. Yes, I apologize. Item number 11, board meeting dates and property tax calendars for 2024. Staff recommendation for the 2024 board meeting dates and property tax calendars For board adoption, significant dates considered in setting board meeting dates are included for additional context. This item was presented by Ms. Stowers. And on the calendar, we recall that we made 2 adjustments for both February and March dates, and so we could take that vote up again. So I need a motion from someone. And
It's been so moved by my vice chair, and I will go ahead and second that. Do we need to spell out the actual dates? I think we did last time, right? Because I
I'm
think,
going to, yes.
Okay.
So I have a motion on the table from Vice Chair Lieber, seconded by Chairman Vasquez. It's to adopt the calendar that was presented and attached to the agenda notice with 2 adjustments. We're changing the February calendar to be February 21st and 22nd, and the March calendar to be March 19th and 20th. Otherwise, the calendar presented and attached to the agenda notice will remain the same. So I will call roll. Chair Vasquez?
aye?
Vice Chair Lieber?
Aye.
Member Gaines?
Aye.
Member Schaefer?
Aye.
Deputy Controller Emron?
Aye.
So it's unanimous of all those present.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we can go back to,
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, board members.
Ms. Cicchetti, if you call the next item.
Okay, we're going to go back to today's agenda. So we're up to item 16A, greeting and introductory remarks by board members, Executive Director, and Deputy Director of Property Tax.
Thank you. The 2023 annual board meeting with county assessors is now called to order. And thank you and welcome, everyone, for coming out to participate in this annual meeting with us. This is, I understand, the 57th annual Board Assessors meeting. It's been 57 years since the legislation was passed in 1966, requiring us to meet. Although assessors and board no doubt met frequently for years before that, I want to recognize the Assessors Association President, Christine Lee, I believe is in the audience here somewhere. I see your hand. For her outstanding leadership in 2023, who will also be introducing to us the new president-elect for 2024, Christina Wynn, and I believe she's here somewhere. Or maybe not yet. And a special thank you goes out to the CAA Legislative Committee led by Shelley Scott, and I think I saw Shelley. There she is, okay. And Vice Chair Kyan Whitman. I don't know if Kyan's here, but I know that we have worked very hard to get legislation through the process and a wide range of other matters affecting property taxpayers throughout the state. Thank you for all your efforts. I am personally looking forward to meeting with you all later today, and I know there'll be some special presentations before that as well. And with that, let me just turn to my vice chair for any opening remarks, and then I'll turn to my other members who are also here that I know have several of their representatives or assessors representing their areas. Vice Chair, Ms. Lieber.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's really a privilege to be here with our assessors. We recognize that your time is very valuable, and so we're honored to have you join us in Sacramento. And we are so thankful for the work that you do on behalf of your own constituents and our state overall every single day. Property taxes are not a simple matter, but are often filled with complexities, especially in the recent years with the changes that have come about. And so we're very thankful for the job that you do as constitutional officers within the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gaines, I believe you had your hand up.
Yeah, great, thank you. I want to welcome all the assessors here today in person and that are joining us on the phone. This is one of my favorite days of the year because I love hearing firsthand what's going on in our counties. I know that this year I was fortunate enough to visit a few of you on the road, and I look forward to more visits to assessors in the months to come. It was a pleasure to go to the Assessors Conference in August, where I got to see so many assessors from District 1, and there are 34 of them in my district, and quite a few at the conference. I was really impressed. And the conference is always full of up-to-date information and interesting speakers and information. It's a huge benefit to everyone who attends. I know that this year Prop 19 was at the top of the minds of many of you, and there are still many challenges implementing that law, as well as staffing, which seems to be a trial everyone seems to have, but in particular in the rural counties. I welcome you all again. I look forward to your remarks and look forward to our breakout session later today. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Schaefer, you want to just give some
Thank-
opening remarks first?
Yes, thank you. I'm always impressed to see how full we can have our auditorium here, and you guys make it look like a real session, and we don't get many chances to do it, maybe twice a year. We're recognizing our San Diego County Assessor, Jordan Marks, for his operational excellence. He's achieved a record high of $727 billion in assessed value and has delivered a record $275 million in property tax savings to San Diego homeowners. He's also delivered Prop 8 reductions for over 18,000 new San Diego homeowners and qualified the most 100% disabled veterans and surviving spouses in the state, increasing our annual recipients from 4,500 in 2018 to 15,000 this year. I want to thank Jordan Marks for his exemplary service, and we're all aware that he comes to us in the great shadow of the icon, Ernest Jonenberg, who was predecessor on the Board of Equalization prior to his longtime service as county assessor. And I can speak from experience that when you see somebody from San Diego, we've put a lot of traveling to be here, so we appreciate that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Controller Enron.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Controller, it's certainly an honor to welcome the 58 county assessors today to the Board Auditorium in our state's capital. I've had the privilege of meeting many of you, whether virtual or in person. But for those that may have not known me yet, I'm the Deputy Controller in the new Cohen administration. I'm a lawyer and I'm a former high school teacher, so I look forward to working with you all now and in the future. I want to first begin by thanking Kings County Assessor and outgoing CAA President Christine Lee, who has demonstrated tremendous leadership and partnership to this board and State Controller. I want to thank you for your contributions and your willingness to engage with the board in the property tax administration field as we all carry out our constitutionally mandated responsibility as board members. Also, a huge congratulations and warm welcome to the newly incoming CAA President, Sacramento County Assessor Christina Nguyen. You have already hit the ground running, and the Controller is looking forward to working with you on an array of initiatives moving forward. I know the professional relationship will remain strong and collaborative. Today is a day of celebration and tradition. The storied relationship of this Board of Equalization and our county assessors is sacred, a tradition that dates back well over 50 years. So on a beautiful day like this, we carry on that custom and legacy. I also believe that 2023 has proven to be in a very exciting time for this board. Thanks to the leadership of our chair and vice chair, we have worked hard to administer California's $85 billion property tax system while simultaneously engage with local governments and stakeholders to address the affordable housing and homelessness crisis that has plagued the state, while also ensuring we are building a pipeline for the workforce of the future. Even with these challenges, there's optimism and hope. We are forging a path forward where this board fulfills its constitutional responsibilities, because we all know that our local governments, our school districts, and special districts are counting on us. In conclusion, in Controller Cohen's first year, she has remained focused and committed on 3 key objectives with the Board of Equalization. Number 1, restoring the stellar national reputation the Board of Equalization has possessed over the years. Number 2, rebuilding the agency's administrative and programmatic infrastructure to protect the rights of California taxpayers while simultaneously ensuring that the agency and our 58 county assessors have the necessary resources to fulfill our respective constitutional responsibilities. And last, the modernizing California's property tax system to ensure that the $85 billion property tax system is administered in a fair, effective, and efficient manner. So on behalf of all California residents and property owners, I want to thank you all, and I'm looking forward to the robust discussions and dialogue ahead. Thank you, Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you. Let me have some open remarks, I guess, from our Executive Director, Ms. Stowers, and then also our David Young as well.
Good morning. Yvette Stowers, Executive Director for the Board of Equalization. I would like to recognize Honorable Christine Lee, President, California Assessors Association, Kings County Assessor Clerk Recorder, and the Honorable Christina Nguyen, President-elect, CAA, Sacramento County Assessor, and thank all the 58 county assessors for joining us for the Board and Assessors Annual Meeting. I want to take a moment to thank Assessor Lee for her almost year of service in the role of President of the CAA. It was a great pleasure working with you and partnering with you throughout the year. I also look forward to working with Assessor Nguyen as she takes the helm as the incoming president of the CAA. The annual meeting with the county assessors provides an opportunity to meet and discuss matters relating to the administration of property assessment and property taxation law and promote uniformity in the tax procedure matters throughout the state of California. This meeting provides a forum for a formal and informal dialogue between the county assessors and board members to discuss concerns and common goals and formulate strategies to achieve them. I look forward to today's dialogue, and it will assist and identify and agree on shared priorities for 2024, after which we can work together to move forward on achieving our common goals. Thank you. Mr. Young.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Young.
Thank you very much. For the record, David Young, Deputy Director of the Property Tax Department, and thank you very much for the opportunity to address the board and our assembled 58 county assessors. I second everything Ms. Stowers has already said about the CAA and also your comments, but I just wanted to highlight just a little bit of the collaborative work that the 58 counties assessors and the board we engage in on a continuous basis. A lot have been done on emergent issues, Prop 19, affordable housing and whatnot, but there is actually a mountain of work that goes on behind the scene that all 58 county assessors and the board collaboratively work on really hard on throughout the year. We co-administer two programs together, the LEOP program and the welfare program. We each do our separate roles, but they all go together and administer both those programs. And they're immensely important programs for for all of California. The board also prescribes over 100 forms. We talk about service to the public. We prescribe over 100 forms in which the administration of the property tax system actually depends and counts on. We work collaboratively with the form subcommittee of CAA. We make sure they're, created when needed, updated, and always available for public use. And the board has been a founding member of eForms. We continue to be. That goes on to make those forms available electronically for the counties. We also count on the valuable contribution of all the assessors. We publish 3 cost guides every year, in large part with data that the county assessors give us on costs and sales data. They also help in the review of our handbooks. So the effort is, while we do tackle a lot of really big items, there is a mountain of work that happens with all 58 county assessors throughout the year. I want to take that opportunity to thank the assessors for their continued collaboration and contribution on that front. So thank you very much. You back.
Thank you. Before we get into all of us speaking on certain, or accomplishments that have happened throughout the county. I know we have one assessor that's here from Napa. John Tudor, is he here in the audience? Wanted to speak on 16A before he moved on to 16B. So come on up, welcome.
Good morning, Chairman Vasquez, members of the board. I have made it a tradition now for 36 years to come up and compliment the board and the staff on their relationship with us local assessors, especially the staff. I've seen many people in your chairs over the 36 years, and I just want to say that during that time, the consistent quality of the staff of this board is amazing. I deal with a number of state agencies in my roles as recorder and assessor and county clerk and registrar of voters, and I just want to say that this staff ranks up there among the top. I wanted to point out just 4 things that the staff and I have worked on. One, of course, is the advice we get from your staff. It's consistently correct. I've sometimes almost gotten in trouble until I reached out to the staff to make sure that I was moving in the right direction. The second, their support. They are always there if you need them, and they reach out to us. I'm sure that's true of my colleagues. I know they reach out to me to make sure that I have whatever I need to make our local operations as efficient and fair as possible. The third thing is training. I've taken on sort of informally finding free training for our certified appraisers. And my relationship with your training staff, Reno Orsal and the other members of the staff, I just submitted 3 courses yesterday, and if I'm expecting when I get home, they'll already be approved. That's how quick they are in doing that. And it's just been a great experience to do that. The way the training is set up and your course approval, and then of course the training hour approval is very smooth, and I've been able to do this now for 5 or 6 years. And then finally, I hope you're all aware that one of the members of your staff attended our Leadership Academy, which we held at UC Davis. The Assessors Association, we had 10 slots, and we have set one of those slots aside for the Board of Equalization. We don't pay for it, you do, but we wanted to make sure that you had the same kind of leadership training and succession building that we have in our offices. And the Leadership Academy was very successful. We got foundation funding to help with scholarships for some of our smaller counties. We had 30 people attend, one of those being a member of your staff, and we are set for next year, July 22nd, so I'm hoping Mr. Young and the board will find a member of the staff to attend that. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I just wanted to continue my tradition of letting you know what a great organization you are.
Appreciate all your comments and your compliments, especially of the staff. I think we're all good. I don't
Great.
see any hands, but
Thank you, Chairman.
thank you. With that, I guess we're going to take just a quick little break here so we can get a photo. They want to do a photo?
Yes. we are
And then
going
we'll
to
come
take-
back
Yep.
and allow each member to bring up any other, or recognize any other assessors here today.
So we are going to take an item out of order, item D. The group photo is being taken out of order. We will go into recess.
Yes.
All the assessors on Teams to turn on.
Yes, I was going to ask all of the assessors who are appearing remotely, can you please turn on your camera so that you can be included in the photograph?
Oh, wow.
Can you ask the assessors to come in?
Technology, I didn't know. An opportunity to continue it in a few. But let me do this before we get started. I know I was going to turn it to my colleagues here to talk a little bit about some of their assessors in their respective districts. I'm going to have our executive director, since this is an official meeting between the assessors and the board, do a roll call so we can at least acknowledge and recognize all the assessors that are here in the House and those that are on the screen as well. So with that, Ms. Stowers, if you would
Before we
take roll.
get started, let's just do a little logistics. Can we
Oh,
just
I'm
sit
sorry.
back from recess and do a time count? We return from recess,
Yes,
10:45.
10:46 I have here.
Okay.
All right. So we're officially back on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chair
Ms.
Vasquez.
Stowers.
Yvette Stowers, Executive Director. I decided to do a roll call because you guys love them so much. So, Alameda County. All right. Alpine County. Maybe online. Amador County. Butte County. Calaveras County.
Present.
Here. Colusa. Contra Costa. Del Norte. El Dorado. Fresno. Glenn. Humboldt. Imperial. Inyo. Kern. Kings. Lake. Lassen. Los Angeles. Madera. Marin. Mariposa. Mendocino.
Here, online.
Merced.
Online.
Modoc. It's a challenge for me. Mona. Mona. Monterey. Napa. Nevada. Orange. Placer. Plumas.
Here, online.
Riverside.
Sacramento. San Benito. San Bernardino. San Diego. San Francisco. San Joaquin. San Luis Obispo. San Mateo. Santa Barbara. Santa Clara. Santa Cruz. Shasta. Sierra. Siskiyou. Solano. Sonoma. Stanislaus. Sutter. Tehama. Trinity. Tulare. Tuolumne. Ventura. Yolo. And Yuba.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. I am pleased to recognize and hear from the 58 county assessors and all they have accomplished in 2023, not only for the role they play in annually determining the proper taxable value of properties, but also for their services they provide to the public. As the theme of this meeting is serving those in need, I look forward to the presentations by the assessors speaking today about the ways they have found to help meet the needs of taxpayers and the needs of hardworking public service staff in their counties. To start off, I'd like to introduce George Ranke. I only have one assessor here. You know, I have the County of LA. We're the big gorilla in the state, right? George Ranke, the assistant assessor who's speaking for the Los Angeles assessor Jeff Prang, my only assessor who has served his county of over 9.8 million residents since 2014. Mr. Ranke, are you available to come up? Here he is. Before Mr. Ranke begins his presentation, I want to note for the record,
To the podium?
I guess I want you to use the podium, I'm sorry. I want you to note that for the record that in 2023, Assessor Prang's office has been recognized by two prestigious organizations. Number one, the National Association of Counties presented his office with 4 achievement awards that honor innovative, effective county government programs that strengthen services for residents. The Appraiser's Assistance Training Program, the Assessor's Shabbat, I guess it's called, right? The Assessor's Homeowners Resource Fairs, and the Assessor's Online Appointment Booking Systems. Second, for the second time, the International Association of Assessing Officers, the IAAO, issued to his office the Certificate of Excellence in Assessment, which is the highest honor that can be granted to a government assessment agency in the U.S. The certificate reflects the IAAO's determination that Assessor Prang's office demonstrated the highest level of proficiency in assessment and appraisal disciplines. I want to extend my congratulations to the Assessor Prang's office on these much-deserved awards. Mr. Granke, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On behalf of Assessor Prang, I'd like to thank you for the recognition, but I certainly would like to give credit to our staff who really earned the certification. It was a lot of work, and it was a very deep dive, top to bottom audit of the department, and they performed incredibly well, and it's a reflection of their professionalism, their training, and their dedication to public service. Would also like to thank the board for your continued support. I'd like to reiterate Assessor Tudor's thanks and comments about the professionalism. It's always been quite a pleasure working with you and your staff, and we appreciate the collaboration. And with that, I just really wanted to keep it short, express our thanks, and hope to continue to collaborate with your board. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Granke, for your excellent presentation. I'm really impressed with the high level of service that not only you, like you mentioned, your staff, but also under the leadership of your assessor, Jeff Prang. And I know he's always been real accessible, and we've had several meetings and conversations over these last few years. Really appreciate his willing to participate and step up and help in whatever way he can. So give him my best as well.
Thank you, I will.
Thank you. With that, let me start with my vice chair, and then we'll go on down the line.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. You know, when we had the roll call of counties, it really gave me a tingle in my spine to think about all of the 58 counties in California and the history that they represent, and the power in terms of natural resources, and also the power in the people who are elected to represent everyday Californians and to act in a way that expresses the trust that's been placed in them. So thank you so much for that. And I'm proud to highlight 2 very strong and accomplished women leaders. The first is Honorable Sherry Thomas, Santa Cruz County Assessor Recorder. And the second will be Shelley Scott, Marin County Assessor Recorder Clerk. And if Sherry would come up, please, and kind of get you up to our podium. And I wanted to introduce her by way of saying that she is very schooled in her professionalism and methodical hands-on practice. Sherry has developed her expertise during her 19-year tenure in the assessor's office. She is the first woman elected assessor recorder in Santa Cruz history. And she came to Santa Cruz County from private industry, where she was recognized as a leader in business. She completed her BA and MBA degrees while working full-time. And she served as chief deputy assessor for 9 years and developed a reputation and proven track record. She has increased the operational efficiencies, improved taxpayer and employee satisfaction, and on-time delivery of services. She has increased transparency and taxpayer knowledge by holding many public information and education sessions. And I know that you represent a very active and involved community that have a really strong hunger and drive for information and to be involved in the process. So thank you for meeting that need in your community, and we'd love to invite you to make some remarks if you'd like.
Thank you very much. It's my first time here, so it's very exciting to be here. I'm happy to be here and meet you all and collaborate with my fellow assessors. So what we are doing in Santa Cruz County currently, the assessor's office is collaborating with the auditor tax collector to provide outreach to seniors. We're doing this collaboration because so often if we go out into the field individually, there's all the questions that I can answer about property tax as an assessor, but then I have to refer them to the tax collector for payments. So we're bringing the whole tax cycle together to give a very well-rounded approach to answer questions. Obviously, one of our big outreach items is Proposition 19 and how taxpayers can take benefit of that. It is fairly active in my county, both incoming and outgoing. So one of the things that we're doing to outreach is not only outreach directly to seniors, but also to the individuals or professionals that they might come in contact with, such as lawyers, accountants, or real estate agents. So I recently gave a very short presentation to real estate agents, talking to them in their language, talking about where the properties in Santa Cruz County are selling and for how much, and that enticed them to invite me back for a full training session with their full staff about Prop 19 and how they might better educate seniors about the benefits that is available to them. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's something that we literally grapple with and discuss at every single meeting of the board, is how to get that word out. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And now if I could ask Shelley Scott to come up. Shelley is a leader who is really known to so many of us in the Bay Area and in the assessor community as well. And I'd say that throughout the 30 years that Shelley worked in the assessor recorder's office, she has worked to successfully defend assessment appeals before her appeals board. She served as a deputy assessor for the Marin County Assessor Recorder's Office before her election as assessor recorder. She has served with great distinction as the legislative chair of the California Association of Assessors, and she has served as a commissioner on the Marin County Human Rights Board, where she worked to eliminate prejudice and discrimination and to foster attitudes which lead to civic peace and better relations within her county. As assessor, Shelley Scott has brought leadership and dedication to every aspect of the complex duties that face every assessor. And we are so honored to have her here today. She is a real leader within the Bay Area community, and thank you so much, Shelley, for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Just thank you so much, Chair Vasquez and board members. I appreciate the opportunity. And just to reiterate what Assessor Tudor said, your staff is tremendous to work with. They are always answering our calls, answering our emails, and helping to guide us. It's a great partnership, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much. And with that, I have a couple of items I'd like to share with you today. One of them is certainly AB 1466, which is the redacting of restrictive covenants. When prior to that actually even passing, we had some I had a supervisor who was reading her title report and saw some of this offensive language and came to me and wanted to know what we could do on a local level to redact this information. So we started a program. We put it on our website of ways you could do this, and we also found a way not to charge for it as well, which I was very grateful for. I know that we have a video to show you today of some of the work that we did. We've actually won an award for this, not only a national award with CSAC, but also a state award with CSAC. It has just been my pleasure to be able to do this work. Certainly, I had so much support from the community. We had a lot of volunteers, my board of supervisors, my staff, who are absolutely incredible. We couldn't have gotten this over the line without them. Right now, I'd like to share this video with you.
The Marin County Restrictive Covenants Project seeks to inform and educate our residents of the history and significance of governmental policies and programs that largely resulted in the wealth gap that we see here in Marin County and in this country.
We're trying to really bring home the history of Marin County in terms of how racially restrictive covenants are the primary driver for why we see such residential and community segregation today.
We've had decades and decades of people not being able to buy homes in areas that they would like to live.
I realized that I, as an East Asian from Africa, I could have never lived in Sleepy Hollow.
For populations of color, it means the inability to achieve the American dream of creating a better future for their children.
The difference is appalling in these areas that have these restrictive covenants, and you can see it in everything. Diversity, but also in schooling, in access to clean water, to healthy food. It's everywhere.
The racially restrictive covenants were first put in place in the early 20th century as a means to keep neighborhoods predominantly white.
In 2019, Supervisor Katie Rice shared with me her experience after she was reading some of her title reports on her home.
As a homeowner, a property owner, taking a look at your deed and seeing that language is going to really have the most impact on a person that words can have, because we're talking about the place you live, and suddenly you're going to have a recognition that if you had been a person of color in 1965, you would not have been able to purchase that home, even rent that home.
After doing some research and looking at the restrictive covenants, they thought this is a great educational tool. That was why we decided to do the map.
The mapping project has been incredible. There's about 4,500 homes that have been identified by the county. And actually it's helped my team and my interns. They have been able to use this data that was put together by the county to point out property numbers, the wording. We're basically sending them out to residents who are on the list. That's been a big, major wake-up for a lot of the residents.
Learning it through local history and actually studying housing laws, studying deeds, studying maps, it doesn't just tell you where you live and your privilege, it shows you it.
I think we really want residents today to have a much clearer understanding of how racially restrictive covenants impacted the color of our neighborhoods today, and the fact that Marin County is one of the most segregated counties in the state, if not the nation.
The way the amending the deed works is that you strike the section in the deed. And so it isn't telling people that this never existed. It'll be shown that this is part of the deed. But you're making a moral statement by saying, I live in America right now, and this is wrong and was wrong in the 40s and 50s.
I've had a lot of residents in Marin County reach out and really applaud this effort, and many students have actually come forward and asked how they could volunteer and help to do some of this research and actually find this language.
Our main goal was to file through tons of old newspaper clippings looking for evidence of segregation, redlining, racial restrictive covenants, language towards people of color that was discriminatory. Now it's kind of shifted into collecting all this research and data and information and developing that into a curriculum.
We have a technical issue right now. We're going to have to stop this for a moment. We're having some issues with the sound, so if you could just bear with us for a minute. The sound, the voice is not going out to the public, so we're taking care of that right now. If you all wouldn't mind just 1 minute, we'll figure out what's going on.
Is it a problem with all the mics as well, or just?
The sound is not going out to the public.
Oh,
So,
but our mics are working out
Yep,
to the public.
So we can make comments now.
well, no, because the public is not connected.
Curriculum or
I guess it-
pilot that can be used in schools and can be taught from the angle of Marin and its vast history into redlining and segregation that not many students, from my perspective, know about.
The county, like all of the cities and towns, is in the process of updating the housing element, which is part of our general plan. The residents of Marin have an opportunity to participate in the housing planning work to call out the more covert forms of racial discrimination. You know, obviously, racially restrictive covenants are illegal today, but comments come in more sophisticated manner, such ideas as it's important to protect the character of these neighborhoods, to uphold the high property values, and to protect the scenic beauty of our neighborhoods. These are dog whistle terms to basically say, we need to find ways to exclude those who don't look like us, who don't make as much income as us, from living amongst us. We have to be able to call out acts and comments like this that really serve to push the county away from our values and our goals of promoting more equitable access to housing and developing a healthier, more prosperous, and inclusive community.
This is the second message we're trying to get through with this racial covenant program. It isn't just simple property deeds that as the statement. It's a bigger issue in our community of how to balance out inequity, economic inequity in our society. So.
I think understanding the impact that restrictive covenants had is important information as we consider our housing elements and as residents of this county look to supporting the development and creation of lower and moderate income housing so that more of the folks who perhaps in the past were not able to purchase a home or live here in Marin County will have an opportunity to do so.
We have an opportunity to do it the Marin way by making sure the growth can fit into our communities, and we can do this together in a very inclusive manner.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking care of the sound on that. One other thing I would just like to add, I know you saw there was a piece of it, but one of the pieces that we won the award for was the mapping aspect of this project. And what the recorder did, partnering with the assessor's mapping division, when we discovered this language, we actually are populating our county map. And that's what you saw when you saw those blops kind of growing. You saw from 1911 up to probably I'd say the mid-1960s where it populated, where we found that language and we were identifying it. If you go to our website, you can certainly see, as you hover over it, you can see the restrictive language that was there. So very proud of the program. It's still ongoing. We have over 96,000 parcels to research and investigate. And I have to say that I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of volunteers. I have a lot of high school students very interested in this project that are working with my staff and doing this work. So I applaud them and my staff again. Lastly, the other piece that I've been working on, I collaborated with our district attorney. We have created in our county a deed fraud program. Basically what that is, any deed that gets recorded in the recorder's office, I send a letter not only in English but in Spanish informing the resident that something was recorded on their property. There's also a copy of it. It has a little watermark over it, so it's not an official copy, but they can see exactly what was recorded on the property. This is in an effort to stop title theft. And I collect a fee for this, and I'm really grateful for Lori Fergoli, who is the Marin County District Attorney, partnering with me on this. She has a full-time deputy who works with all of our local law enforcement agencies. If somebody does have a problem, the letter instructs them to contact law enforcement. And this is an effort because Marin County is one of the counties, certainly in our state, but probably the nation, that has a large elderly population. And you would think almost when you age that you would get a little bit more cynical, but that's really not the case. They're actually a very, very vulnerable population. And not only that, Marin County has very high real estate values, so that puts them at risk for this type of fraud. So it was really important that we, at least in my mind, did this work for them. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback. Lori and I have presented all over the state with our program, and it's been really well received. I don't know if we're going to win an award for this, but we certainly put our hat into the ring for it. So lastly, I just want to know that for all my fellow assessors, if anybody would like this information to do this work, we're happy to share and collaborate. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being here with us today. It's very educational to see the informative film about the project on restrictive covenants, and so also the work that you're doing in terms of elder financial abuse is really critical for so many of our counties. So thank you so much for everything that you do every day and these special projects as well.
Thank you.
I think we had a couple other comments. I wanted to also thank you. I think, wasn't this also on 60 Minutes? I saw a piece of it.
I didn't make 60 Minutes. That would be great if we did.
No, but they were talking about the same issue, I think. And it was, I think, in Marin County. I want to say it was just last month. I saw some, it was an African-American family that was, they were having some issues when they were doing a refi.
Yes, that was the redlining. Yes.
Redlining, there you go.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for all your work on that. I mean, you're to be commended on that. I know it sounds like it's pretty tedious because you're going back, 60, 70 years here.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just learned through this project, I actually partnered with a national board with the University of Minnesota, and I just found our program right now, we could only go back to 1911 forward because our software system couldn't read the calligraphy and the cursive writing. But I understand now that Amazon has come up with a program that will read that. So we're going to be investigating that to see if we can't go back, because ideally what I'd like to do is go back to when we became a state in our county and actually map our whole county and see what that looks like. Because for me, honestly, this is a learning opportunity for everyone. Here's how national policy marginalized a group of people. Right. And I think if you can learn from past mistakes, you won't make them in the future. At least that's my dearest hope. So that's why this was really important for me to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's good stuff.
Thank you.
I think Member Schaefer had a comment.
Yes, thank you. I'm of a generation where I've grown up and seen some of this stuff. I remember when I was in law school at Georgetown, I saw motels on the freeway that say for colored only. And I thought, gee, that's the only business I can't patronize, as an American citizen. You say it ran into 1969. I know that it ran a little longer than that because I was in the hotel business over in Avalon, Santa Catalina Island at the end of my term on the San Diego City Council. And I had the Chamber of Commerce come to me and say, Mr. Schaefer, we have 20 black musicians coming over next weekend to perform at the ballroom there, and none of the major hotels in town have any rooms to rent. And I didn't know what was going on, being from closeted San Diego. So I gave them my very best rooms at rack rates, and everybody was happy, and I got VIP seats at their performance. And my wife and I came up the following week to greet them and found out we were hosting Count Basie and his orchestra. So I want you to know that I admire very much what you've done, but I want you to know it's not isolated to your county. I think every one of our 58 counties has stories to tell. I know former Assemblyman Tom Hom, who was a giant in the Chinese industry, and he's now 98 or so and still very well respected, has a book out. He told me when he was trying to buy a home in San Diego, he ran into racial covenants, and the way they got around it is they had a friendly real estate broker that would introduce him to all the neighbors who would agree that he'd be a good neighbor, and nobody would raise him, and then go ahead and sell him a home anyhow, But we've come a long way, and you're one of the leaders of that, and I appreciate it. And if anybody here has not seen that movie, The Green Book, I would commend you find The Green Book. It's going to be two of the best hours of your life to see how America handled the racial problem back in the 60s. Thank you.
I think Member Gaines had
thank you.
comments.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Assessor Scott, for just a great presentation, and thank you for shining light on this. And it takes me back to my childhood. I must have been maybe about 10 or 11 or so, and our family took a trip with our station wagon and a tent trailer, and we went across America, and we went through the South, and we saw the separate bathrooms for blacks and whites, and I'm going, this is crazy, you know, something that I was just not familiar with. But I think what's interesting about what you're doing is that it shows the discrimination that occurred right here in California. You know, we think that we're often, you know, ahead, and I think we are ahead in many issues, but back in that era, it wasn't any different really here in terms of the discrimination may have been different, right, when we look at that, but it was a lot more blatant in the South, but it still existed in many aspects of everyday life right here in California. So I appreciate you highlighting that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
With that, let me move into Ted Gaines' district.
Wonderful.
I think he has some folks he wants to recognize as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate this. And we've got a couple of speakers that are coming forward that are well known to the board here. And I've got great representation because I represent 34 counties. And if you take a look at the board, we've got some talent coming forward, existing and in the future, in that we have Assessor Christine Lee, the current president, and we have Kristen DePaul, who will be serving, I think, in 2 years, and then I think a year from now we'll have Christina Nguyen. So we've got 3 assessors, all from my district, and they will be the leadership for the next 3 years, if I'm understanding this clearly. And it's kind of ironic, but all their names are Christine, Kristen, and Christina. So I think we've got quite a great trio here moving forward. So let's like to introduce Honorable Christine Lee, President of the California Assessors Association, and Kings County Assessor, Recorder, and Clerk.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Deputy Controller, and all others in attendance. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to come before your board. On behalf of the Assessors Association, I want to thank you all for hosting this meeting today, and also thanks to your staff for the wonderful job they do, and we really appreciate the working relationship we do have with the staff. And also for coordinating this day. That was a big effort, I think, as well. We value your continued support and collaboration. I also appreciate the assessors being here today and their work and commitment to fair and equitable property assessments in this state. And the ones that are being recognized today and coming up and talking about their accomplishments, which are just outstanding. In addition, the other assessors that may not come up to speak, but have also made great contributions in their individual counties and in creating efficiencies in their individual offices. Together, the county assessors and the Board of Equalization have made significant strides in improving property assessment processes that benefit each property owner in need of our service. I'd like to also commend your board for establishing work groups, specifically affordable housing, exemptions, and the workforce planning. As you all know, these focus groups allow for dialogue that lead to steps in a positive direction. Before going in, well, let me go ahead and go into my other role as Kings County Assessor and talk about a couple of accomplishments that we had this year. Each fiscal year, I make a list of about 8 to 10 goals for my office, working with my staff and my management team. We increased some production efficiencies over the year, incorporated a work from home program. But what I'd like to highlight today are 2 specific areas of improvement. We updated our county disaster ordinance to allow our office to be more proactive in responding to victims of the Tulare Lake Basin reformation flood. In March of 2023, the south side of Kings County began flooding. By the end of May, 126,000 acres were underwater. It was mostly farm ground with a few scattered residences and other structures. There was a total of 677 parcels. Many people lost their livelihood without being able to farm the ground or process the crops that come from those fields. Of course, the property owners themselves, but there were also countless individuals that relied on the income generated from farming the ground or working on the dairies and ranches. Although the lake has receded, it's almost to 50% of what it originally was. The ground surrounding the lake still cannot be farmed because, as you can imagine, it's pretty mucky out there. On top of that, it's predicted that 2024 will include another wet year with high snowpacks. With the prior county ordinance, my office could only reduce values on properties if the owners applied for relief. We sent letters with applications to each affected owner, but only about a third of those responded. The updated ordinance allows us to take a more proactive approach and issue reductions to value within the disaster area, even without an application. My second area is a lot lighter, on a lighter note, I would say. We updated the lobby area in our office from the 1950s furnishings that we had in there. I budgeted $1,000 for this project, and as you can imagine, in this day and age, that's not a whole lot to remodel a lobby. We kept the computers that we had for public viewing, but replaced the computer workstations, the tables and chairs, had the lobby painted by our Public Works Department, added a few decorations, and a small play corner for the children. The play corner has a small, colorful table with 4 chairs, and I stocked it with $20 worth of Dollar Tree toys and books. We have a few books to read, coloring books, crayons, and little building blocks, and a few small games. It's been in use for about 6 months now. I expected to have to periodically replace some of the items in there, but so far there's plenty of items available and the area has been used quite often. I think it's nicer for the public. I'm not sure if there's a correlation, but I hear less noise from screaming children in the office. So anyway, that's the Kings County accomplishments. I don't know if you would like me to go into the California Assessors Association accomplishments or if you would like to finish this session first and I'll come back.
You're welcome to continue since you're up. I think it's appropriate.
Wonderful. Please.
Okay. So for the California Assessors Association, I'm just hitting on a few of our key priorities and accomplishments for 2023. The first one I have down is technological advancements. A joint powers authority was formed in late 2022, and since then, the California County Assessors Information Technology Authority Board, led by Assessor Gakel and Assessor Law, was successfully implemented, or has successfully implemented steps that will permit our organization to create a portal for Prop 19 reporting. This portal will allow taxpayers to easily transmit information to assessors while also enabling the necessary coordination amongst assessors' offices in the state of California, ultimately streamlining the process. Although this is a multi-year project, significant headway has been made. The second area is the legislation. Assessor Scott has taken the lead this year with her staff and dedicated committee to track 113 pieces of legislation, working with our legislative analyst, Rob Grossglasser, and coordinating with the legislators. Early in the year, a Ledge Day was initiated, as was a little discussed by Assessor Tudor, where the assessors met with their respective, Ledge Day, I'm on the wrong one. Where respective the assessors met with their respective state legislators to discuss issues of importance throughout the state and their local areas. Now I'm on the one I was thinking. Assessor Salinas created a leadership academy for staff development, and the first session was held in July. He worked in collaboration with UC Davis, Assessor Torres, and others. The CAA has various committees that have worked diligently to ensure numerous updates have been made to areas such as history and preservation, shared systems, bylaws, education standards, and forms, to mention a few. It has been a great year, and we all have a few months to go. We will continue on the path of collaboration and proceed with our constant focus of serving the citizens of California in the best and most fair manner possible. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Sacramento County Assessor, Christina Nguyen. She will take the role of president effective January of 2024. She has been a valuable member of the California Assessors Association and has served on several committees and will certainly do an amazing job in her role as president. So at this time, I'll pass the mic to Christina. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Good morning, Chair Vasquez, board members. Thank you so much for giving me a few minutes to speak with you this morning. It's an honor to be here and to come up behind Christine Lee as the president in 2024. And I had a little taste of some of the things that you've been working on a couple weeks ago when I attended your meeting and you had your work groups, and it was very interesting, a lot of detail. You guys are really getting into some very fascinating topics involving the public and other experts in fields that you're looking to work on, for instance, with the retention, workforce retention, disabled veterans, homeowners exemption. So you're right down my alley. I am a technical expert in a lot of these areas. I spent my 33-year career working in appraisal and assessment administration. So I am ready to get working with you, and I hope to be able to represent my colleagues well. They put their faith in me, and so I'm not going to let them down, and I hope to not to let you down. So I look forward to an exciting year next year and getting to know all of you a lot better. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Welcome. Appreciate it. Looking
Yeah,
forward
thank
to
you,
working with
Christina.
you. Go ahead. Member.
Okay, next we've got the Honorable Kristen DePaul, Modoc County Assessor Recorder.
Good morning, board members. Thank you for hosting us today. Our accomplishment was more geared towards sometimes small counties have trouble getting funding for technology updates and for upgrades to our offices and our practices. A lot of our general fund dollars are dedicated to essential services. So more recently, I've used some CARES Act funding and ARPA funding to digitize our records. And then our last project was that I partnered with the Sheriff's Office and the Office of Emergency Services to write a CAL FIRE grant. And we used that grant to fly the county with EagleView, a vendor, and provide some digital aerial photography, some small scale photography, and that would help us, it would help fire as they we're looking for evacuation routes and topography, and it would help dispatch so that when they sent their sheriff's deputies out, they would know if there were problem areas and et cetera. It helped us with measurements and discovery of new construction and et cetera. And so we were just trying to be creative with ways to do that. We also have struggled to provide mapping and layers to the public. And so this will help us provide like districts and zoning layers and et cetera to the public.
That's great. That's wonderful. I think that's a creative idea. I mean, I just have a question in terms of budgeting. Would you have ever found funding for this project?
No, we did not have funding available, and we'd talked to our CEO's office and et cetera, and this, we had to be creative with how we could get these grants and get this funding to do these projects.
That's wonderful. Working with other agencies to figure out how to make it happen.
That's great.
I appreciate, and that's, I think that's very, it's not unusual in counties, right? In the rural parts of the district, my district in particular, and I think also member Liebers got to be creative and figure out how to advance technology, and so I want to thank you for your efforts and what you're doing in Modoc, and It's a great forum where you can share that, and hopefully other counties can use similar methods to fund what they need to get things done. So,
Thank you.
wonderful.
With that, let me move on to Member Schaefer. I believe he wants to recognize one of his assessors here.
Yes, I'm very pleased. We have 3 of our assessors here in person today and 2 by virtual appearance. Is Jordan Marks here? He was Claude? Well, let's take you. You're next on the agenda. No, Claude, you've got 30 seconds to prepare. I'd like you to come forward. And we're so lucky to have you here today. You're a former member of the Board of Equalization, unlike any of the others, and I look to you for wisdom and experience whenever I have a difficult issue, and you're always so kind and generous with your time. You even take me to lunch. You don't spend more than $5 according to the rules.
That's right. I think it was a buffet. And so I guess, the most important thing on my mind is that the Board of Equalization should continue to be in existence, and that there's some scurrilous people or individual that would think of destroying the agency and combining it. And this is awful. And so I hope that all of my assessor colleagues, or most of them that were able to, wrote a letter in opposition to the bill of Mr. Ting. And so any event, I'm happy to support the board. I always will. Doesn't matter your party. I'm especially grateful to the kind words of the new controller. She was very kind and gracious to me.
I appreciate the letters you sent to the legislature and other people to support our cause. We need more of that.
Yes.
You've been our assessor since 2015, and you were on the Board of Equalization before that. You have an open door policy, and you take calls from taxpayers and are very generous to meet with them. Your wife, Noelle, is always at your side. I've so enjoyed meeting with her and the support she gives you. You started at your own taxpayer advocate office, which I'm very impressed with. And I'm just so pleased that you seem to show up here as much as any of the assessors who live in the neighborhood. We see a lot of you, and we like that.
Thank you. I remember when you were running, and it's an honor to work with you and all of the members, the ones that I know more and less, and I support all of you in whatever you do. It's very important. I can't imagine what we would do if we would not have elected representatives to contact, if there was no Board of Equalization and it was turned to the fee agency. I mean, how the communication would be bad. It's very sad. So you are very, very important, and every single assessor should be grateful for your guidance. And that's my comments.
Well, welcome back. Come anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Great, bye.
And next, it's my honor to present Jordan Marks. I've highlighted some of his great accomplishments. He qualified the most time at 100% disabled veterans and surviving spouses in our state, increasing the recipients from 4,500 in 2018 to 15,000 this year. He's doing a wonderful job, but you have great footsteps to follow. Your great predecessor, Ernie Dornenberg, who served in this position, as you know, and we still think of him every time we meet. Come tell us what you're most proud of in San Diego.
Thank you, Member Schaefer, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Honored to be here with you today, and as one of the newest assessors in the state of California, the great pleasure that I have and success that I have is really based on a fantastic staff. So if I were to say anything else, I have 450 exceptional staff members that are focused on priority number one, putting our constituents first with great customer service. Now, we get to be great because I have amazing colleagues and the assessors across the state. We work together. I always say assessment practices is a team sport, and the Board of Equalization plays a key part in it. This last year, we delivered record high revenue of $727 billion. That goes to our schools, emergency services, streets, the key services that our constituents rely upon, while at the same time, my staff spent an extraordinary amount of time educating our taxpayers on the tax-saving opportunities to thrive here in the state of California. So that delivered over $275 million in savings, including our disabled veteran population. So we're really proud to do the good work of the people and helping our veterans in San Diego County. So thank you so much for your partnership. We rely on the amazing staff at the Board of Equalization. We rely on our colleagues across the state as we work together to make sure we're doing a great job in fair and equitable work. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being with us. And Robert Menville, I'd like to call up. Is Robert here? Robert is the assessor, I think, that has to come the furthest distance to be with us, and he's making a lot of progress statewide in his leadership. And Robert, tell us what's going on in Imperial.
Well, we've, Robert Menville, Imperial County Assessor, totally unprepared to make a presentation, but thank you for the recognition. I'm going to go back home and find out what I'm doing statewide that you know about and I don't. I hope it's good. I know that I think P.T. Barnum said there's no such thing as bad publicity, so I'll take it that's good. Imperial County, just like all the other counties in California, had a record year as far as assessments. As long as I've been in that office for 31 years, we had our highest assessment increase. We actually went over $15 billion in total assessments. When I started as assessor in 2015, we were at about 10.5 billion. So we've put on quite a bit of value in my 9 years of turning over an assessment role. And I think I sent an email to Christina Wynn, President-elect Christina Wynn. Can you hear me, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Christina, do you remember that email? I said, Christina sent out a press release and she said, Sacramento County, this is what we did. And I said, my gosh, I said, you put on $15 billion in 1 year, and we're just happy to get to $15 billion after 100 years as a county. So anyway, but we're still part of California, Southeast California, down there in the desert. And I would like to take the opportunity as a recent past president of the Central Southern California Assessors Association, the host of our annual conference, to invite you to come to Palm Springs for our California Assessors Association annual conference. Registration is open, and we have some interesting topics that we'll be discussing. And the California Assessors Association Information Technology Group affiliate will also be having their conference at the same time. That's November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And those of you that like to play golf, there is a golf event the day before on Halloween, October 31st. And we're planning an off-site reception on the second evening, which, if we can put it together, would be a trip up the tram to the top of San Jacinto for a reception. And the days are still long enough that you can get to the top and still see in daylight. You can see the whole valley, and then as you're coming down, it'll be evening, so you'll see all the lights of Palm Springs. So I would invite you to register. Registration's open, and our room block, I think, is through the 8th of October. So if you haven't registered or haven't made your reservations, look into that. Thank you.
I enjoy very much visiting with you. You took me on a tour of the Mexican border last time I was here, and the Border Patrol people who stopped us all knew you real well.
I hope for the right reasons.
And you took me to a rodeo that was exciting. I remember the good-looking young ladies that were on horseback carrying flags. I don't get that kind of entertainment in Silicon Valley.
We went to the Naval Air Station El Centro also, if you recall that.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
winter home of the Blue Angels flight demonstration team. They weren't there yet. They come in December. They come in around Thanksgiving from Florida, and they train all winter, midwinter in Imperial County, because we have pretty much 360 days a year of flyable weather in Imperial County, maybe closer to 365. So great place to spend the winter. You probably want to avoid it in the summertime.
We had pilots there from, was it Ireland or England?
Yeah, the NATO countries, they send their pilots, helicopter and Air Force pilots to train for desert type training, because we have a great deal of vacant desert land that the Navy oversees, and so they use it as bombing ranges. So it's a great place for training, and so it's not uncommon to be walking through one of the local establishments, and you will see someone in a uniform that you don't recognize, and then when they go through the check stand, and they're, the clerk looks at them, and obviously they're not, okay, Spanish is not going to be their first language. I wonder what their first language is. And then they speak English, but nobody can understand what they're saying because they're from Australia or England or somewhere else in Europe. So, yeah, we do have that interesting thing that happens, and I'm glad you were able to visit with us, Mike, and see that.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for calling me up on this impromptu
Question, if I could.
opportunity, and I will go home and see all the great things I'm doing statewide. Thank you.
We got a question here from.
I'm just curious about rainfall in Imperial County. What is your rainfall?
Well, our rainy season is August and September, and that's monsoon season, and Tropical Storm Hillary came through, and we did not receive the brunt of it. Riverside County, eastern Riverside County, and parts of San Bernardino County received the brunt of that storm. In fact, in Palm Springs, one of the golf courses that we were going to use for our golf event was damaged to the point we can't use it. They're having to repair the course. They had so much flooding damage there. So our rainfall is, an inch or two, and most of it's in the summertime.
Wow. So you've got a lot of ag in Imperial,
Yeah,
don't you?
Colorado River water.
Okay, which is harder to get.
Well, we have very good water rights thanks to our founding pioneer families that came in. Like my family were French immigrants that came in 1907. So.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Interesting history. If you ever go to Imperial County, you do want to go to the Pioneers Museum, Imperial County Historical Society, a very good museum on the fact that that area was settled by all immigrant families from all over the world. And we have a very integrated society there because we all came from someplace else.
Yes. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have online with us Peter Aldana, welcome, and Chris Wilhide, who's, I guess, one of our newest assessors, taking over from the late Senator Bob Dutton, who was county assessor for a long time there. So District 4 is very pleased at our input today and that we're able to recognize all 5 of our people in some way or the other, some more than others. And thank you all for your patience and interest and help.
Thank you all.
Through the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Member Gaines.
Could I have all of my county assessors come up and speak?
You have, who else you
Yeah,
got?
I mean, I think we ought to be equal here. I've got a lot of representation
Don't
out there in the
tell me you got
audience.
34 here.
I didn't let my environmental people speak. Be here till tomorrow.
But actually, on that note, I am on this mission to try to visit all the places, all the counties up and down the state. I've done pretty good down in Southern California and then up around here, but I haven't gone up all the way up to our northern border. And I did meet earlier the new county assessor from Humboldt, and looking. I understand it's a beautiful ride from here going up the coast to our northern border. Looking forward to trying to make that happen here soon. But with that, thank you all for your presentations, and especially commend you all for the good work you're doing in all your respective counties. And like Member Gaines mentioned here, there's so much we could talk about others. We have 58 counties altogether, but to do it all today, we'd be here all day. But really appreciate the fact that we were able to hear at least some of the highlights in some of the different counties. And with that, let me close out. I know we have our Deputy Controller wanted to say a few remarks as well.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to congratulate all the assessors on your recognition today. I think the work you're doing is important across your counties and across the state of California, pushing this Golden State forward. Like the controller, I do want to first, I do hail from the city and county of San Francisco, so I want to give a very special shout out to my own assessor, Joaquin Torres, who's in the building today. And you're an absolute fighter for the residents of San Francisco, and I'm so glad that you're joining us here today. I got to collaborate with you on a few projects with you and your staff, and it's just been quite the treat so far. So I'm looking forward to working with you. So the controller representing the entire state of California, she thought it would be fitting to recognize not a specific person today, but an institution. That institution is the California Assessors Association. President Lee got into the accomplishments, so I won't get into that, but I did want to recognize the leadership team of the California Assessors Association, the CAA for short, President Christine Lee from Kings County, Leslie Morgan, immediate past President Shasta County, Christina Nguyen, President-elect Sacramento County, Jeffrey Prang, the Vice President from Los Angeles, Ms. Freitas from Treasurer from Tulare County, and Mr. Paul, the Secretary from Modoc County. Formed in December of 1902, the California Assessors Association is a statewide professional association for county assessors. The CAA consists of county assessors from each California county and honorary members that made distinctive contributions to the advancement of their organization. The controller believes that the CAA is one of the strongest voices we have here in the capital and across California, advocating on behalf of our property owners. You are the voice for the voiceless. And I believe also, too, is like on top of the Golden State, you are one of the exemplary associations across the United States as well. I've had the privilege of attending many of the CAA's hosted conferences across California, from Santa Rosa to Lake Tahoe to San Diego and a host of other cities. I found the members of the CAA to be welcoming, the information speakers and presentations to be helpful, and a very special bond between the assessors that I see as unbreakable, and I'm just so delighted to be a part of that bond as well. So with that, the controller couldn't be here today, and so she sends her best wishes. She didn't want me to make a very small presentation of this honorary certificate. I'm just going to hold it up here, and I want to read it into the record. In honor and recognition of CAA's commitment to promoting cooperation, unity, and communication among county assessors, and in deep appreciation of your devotion towards improving assessment law and procedures to well serve the citizens of the state of California, acknowledging all the amazing work you have been called to do, and the best wishes to the association for continued success, dated this 27th day of September 2023 by our California State Controller, Malia M. Cohen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
With that, before we move on to our next item, Member Gaines just wanted to make a quick comment and acknowledgement as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, because I just want to thank Assessor Parrish for the comments that he made, because they were spot on in terms of the California Assessors Association and what you did for us on ACA 11. That was a courageous support on your part, and we really appreciate your willingness to support an elected board of equalization. And the same goes for Controller Malia Cohen. She was just all over the issue. She was meeting with Republicans, with Democrats, and was very vocal about the value of the BOE. And those were two surprises that happened through that whole process. And our battle that I think continues. And I'm very excited about the future for the BOE and what we can do. I think there's opportunity for additional duties that we can perform that are of value to our constituents, and we're talking about some of those right now, and we'll talk about more in the future. I also wanted to highlight Assessor Jordan Marks for the work that he's done with disabled vets. And you know, he's from a county that has a lot of veterans, and he's doing a good job in that respect. And also what he did on the Prop 8s, which he informed me will probably just be for 1 year. But there was an opportunity to provide savings for constituents in that little blip of declining value. And so I want to thank all of you for your participation. Look forward to the breakout session. And I'm very positive about the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to our next item, I'm hearing from staff we need to take a quick 5-minute, just a little break, and then we'll reconvene.
Stretch break.
It's 11:51, so I guess 11:56.
Thank you. Should I make an announcement that if you're gonna roundtable discussion. We're going to do just item 1, and then we are going to go into the presentation of Mr. Yen. And then at that time, we will adjourn and go to our lunch, to the luncheon. All righty, and then after that, then there'll be the availability for you to have the breakout sessions with each of your assessors. So that's kind of the, for the remainder of the meeting. So with that in mind, I'll call the next item. The next item is C, roundtable discussion on significant emerging issues. The board and county assessors will discuss key issues and challenges in California property tax administration and programs. This is a roundtable, so if you do come up to the podium to make a statement or a contribution to the conversation, I ask that you state your name and your county that you represent before you begin speaking. With that, we'll start with number 1, possessory interest challenges.
Thank you. With that, we wanted to devote some time today for a roundtable discussion on the current possessory interest challenges. Our joint effort to codify the BOE legal opinions on low-income housing possessory interests in the Senator Rubio's bill, SB 734, were ultimately successful, and it looks like the governor will sign this. But it attracted some opposition and media attention, and we have more work ahead of us moving forward with this. So this agenda today will include the possessory interest challenge in general, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the possessory interest challenges for low and moderate income housing. And then the third one I have here is possessory interest challenges related to the valuation and efficient administration. With that, let me ask who. Let's see, what do I have here? I think one of the key things that I noticed on this issue, especially when I went to the hearing, tax and rev, with the senator, was to try to keep it, if we're going to provide this possessory interest incentive for these folks, it was to make sure that it was it was going towards the low income. I think it was 80 AMI, because there was some folks that were interested that came and testified, some cities actually, that were working with some developers, and they wanted us to bump that up. And I just thought it would be, as it is, I know for you and your counties, for some this would be a financial hit. And we didn't want to create a situation where if we lifted it from 80 to, let's say, 120, it would be more lost revenue for some of the counties. So that was one of the reasons we were trying to keep it at 80. And at the end of the day, like I said, it was able to get through, and now we're hoping the governor will sign this soon and move it forward. But that, let me open it up and see if there's anybody from some of the counties that are represented here today that would love to come up and speak to this. And I see Claude in the back. Come on up, Claude. Claude Players. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You know, some of my colleague assessors, I've suggested that they take the possessory interest test. And being a member of the board, I was familiar with possessory interest. And I took the test when I was first elected in 2015. And I passed the test. And it explains the concept of possessory interest. The fact that, and it goes back a long time, that if you are on government land, but you have an enterprise, a business, a steel mill, whatever, an apartment house, and it goes into detail that you have a possessory interest instead of a property tax interest. And I know the people that you are talking about, that we call them the joint powers people. And so this is what they have done, is they've taken off of the market in my county, I think it is $15 billion of value. And so this is a big hit, and they're very profitable. And by the way, the only classification that we understand is low income. There's low income, and that's it. There's no legal definition for moderate income that they mention. That's fantasy. And these guys made $72 million, and I made a presentation here, and they're making ongoing profit on all of the facilities. I have a spreadsheet that indicates every single project except one, which they're remodeling, and they put a lot of unnecessary bills through to the operators to make more profit, to show that they're actually losing money. But of the 10 projects I have in my county, 9 of them are making a profit of not less than $1.5 million, and this is after paying possessory interest tax, which is lower than regular property tax, and up to $3.9 million per project, per year. So they're making a lot of money, they're profitable, they're using this scheme that they have, and they call it the middle missing income. That doesn't exist in any legislation or regulation. It's either low income or high regular. That's it. So these guys are profiteering. They're making a lot of money, and they just don't want to pay their taxes. It's as simple as that.
I appreciate your thoughts and ideas on, because that was my thinking when I was testifying before the tax and rev, because there was some people, like I think it was from Pasadena, wanted it to bump it up to like 120, and I said, well, that'd be a huge hit for a lot of the counties.
Yeah, it is, and I haven't even calculated the entire amount. And also, I've talked to my fine colleagues about taking the possessory interest test, and as a courtesy, and I talked to them, I'm sending you a copy of the test. It's very important, because if you don't take the possessory interest test, you really don't know what you're doing. You've got to take the test. Am I right? That's why you have these tests, to educate us. And why follow the board? If you change the rules, that's different. And I hope you don't change the rule, because these guys are making millions hand over hand, and they've just started the acquisition. And ultimately, they're going to get the 6% commission when they sell these these will go into hundreds of millions of dollars, some of them. So it's a tremendous amount and they'll get a brokerage commission, which is 6%, as far as I can tell by what I had. Now, Mr. Hanna is my sort of expert that had this, and the valuation we did was a declining. There are several methodologies you can use, and the one that we thought was the best is it starts out at about 70% in the calculation, and then it declines. Now, my other colleague in San Diego has a little different, but we have, according to the possessory interest documents, the authority and the methodology to modify it in a certain way. Mine was the straight level. They're doing it, we should call up the assessor from San Diego so he can give you the actual, what they're doing. My understanding from Ernie Dronenberg that it's the 5-year revaluation, and so I would hope that he would come forward, and I hope whatever happens in the legislature, because I know these guys are going all over the place and they're saying, we're helping low income. They're not helping anybody but themselves get rich. That's all they're trying to do. God bless America, and thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other county?
San Diego would be good.
Oh, you're putting Mr. Jordan on the spot. Does he want to come up? I don't know. Here he comes. Okay. Welcome back, Jordan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to comment about the specifics in San Diego County. What we find is each of these projects are uniquely structured. So, but I will say, we do have a lot of folks that are trying to find answers to housing. And I know that we're seeing school districts, municipalities, private funding sources look at everything on the table. So I want to applaud folks that are looking at middle-income housing. I always encourage them to talk to their assessor's office first. And I think what we're finding in this case is they did not. And so we are partners. I will say that about all of my colleagues in the state, 58 counties. We are your partners in housing. We are your partners in understanding the complex laws, much like the Board of Equalization is. And so in this case, I think we found folks that did not fully understand the property tax rules and its implications. We're working with them so they can understand the rules and be a great partner in a solution for not only low income, but middle income housing. And I think that that is a task that we all have upon us, is to help give guidance and find the best path forward without undercutting the revenue that some rely on, and at the same time, finding a solution that I know I have 450 staff members, and there are things that I lose sleep on, and one is their housing. So I know I'm not alone in this. I know it's probably for the same for the Board of Equalization staff. It's for the public sector, the private sector. We're all partners in finding a solution. And so I don't look at our job as to pick a side or the other. Our job is to call balls and strikes and work together to make sure people understand how they can achieve what their goal is properly and without impacting tenants and folks across the state. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. With that, and then for those that maybe haven't heard, we are going to do a housing hearing down in Southern California and actually in Santa Monica on October the 19th to hear from a lot of the folks from the different counties and nonprofits and for-profits that are in this arena of trying to create more housing throughout the state of California. So you're welcome to participate either remotely or in person as well. With that, Mr. Chiketi, do we have any written comments on this?
Well, first of all, I just want to make a correction for the record. The meeting in Santa Monica is in person only. There's no
I'm sorry.
hybrid feature.
Thank you for the
Just to
correction.
make sure we have that clear.
Okay.
I don't believe, we have some people who are joined us via the hybrid today, and we have someone who's monitoring it, and if someone would like to participate, they could raise their hand and make a notification, and we will recognize them if they would like to speak on these panels. But thus far, we haven't had anybody who's asked, because they're in communication on the hybrid, so.
Okay.
If there's no one else on possessory interest, if you wanted to move forward to the next item.
I think we can. I was just leaving it open, but I think we're good. And I know we have somebody that's going to do a PowerPoint, right? But on another topic. So why don't we go ahead and move on then?
Okay, yes. The second roundtable issue is assessment appeals challenges. The assessment appeals training for county councils and for county boards. We have a speaker, Mr. Edward Yen. He's the Assistant Executive Officer at the Los Angeles County Executive Office of Board of Supervisors. Mr. Yen, are you available? There you are.
I see him on the screen. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon. My name, again, is Edward Yen from the LA County Assessment Appeals Board. I'm very proud and honored to be in front of this group, and I know in front of us we also have the California Assessors Association, who I've worked closely with when I was at the assessor's office in LA County with Jeff Prang, working as their general counsel. So glad to be here in the same room with everyone. Just want to introduce again to say good afternoon, members of the Board of Equalization. I want to thank the Chair Vasquez for allowing LA County's Assessment Appeals Board the opportunity to showcase its Assessment Appeals Board training curriculum. Our training program is designed to help Assessment Appeals Board members become more familiar with the state's property tax system, Los Angeles County's process and procedures, and the unique challenges faced by property owners in the county. The training program includes a mix of classroom instruction, case studies, and role-playing exercises. This past year, our Assessment Appeals Board management developed and revised practices and procedures to improve access and utilization of our online application appeals portal, as well as content on our website. We have also proactively reached out to stakeholders, including LA County's Assessor's Office and tax advocates, to obtain feedback of potential recommendations on process changes. This training curriculum overview will provide you a high-level explanation of some of the changes our county's Assessment Appeals Board made in training our board members, hearing officers, our staff, so that they may stay up to date on the latest developments in property tax law and assessment practices. If you can move to the next slide, please.
Let's see.
I don't think we're seeing a slide here.
Hold on, it's
Oh.
coming.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, and if we could go to the second slide. All right, so acting in a judicial capacity, the Assessment Appeals Board conducts the assessment appeals hearings and makes fair and impartial decisions based on the evidence presented at hearings on all property tax disputes between the taxpayer and the assessor's office. The AAB currently maintains, or our AAB currently maintains 54 appointed board members to serve up to 8 boards a day with another 4 hearing officers to manage our less formal hearings. Each Board of Supervisors office appoints 14 members. Each Assessment Appeals Board member serves 3 years, may be reappointed, or may be released at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. We currently maintain up to 8 Assessment Appeals Boards, which allows us to maximize our Assessment Appeals Board members and our staff's time. Our goal is to ensure that each Assessment Appeals Board panel will have dedicated and knowledgeable board members, as well as staff, to hear and manage the applications. And finally, according to statute, each of our Assessment Appeals Board members must have a minimum of 5 years experience in the fields of accounting, real estate, law, appraisal, or some other professional experience in the real estate field. Next slide, please. So the slide before that. Thank you. So why has our county emphasized training? As you can see based on this chart, our county receives anywhere from 11,000 to 21,000 applications each year, with last year being kind of an outlier at 11,000. The next largest county receives about 5,000 to 6,000 appeals a year. The types of property and reasons for filing an appeal are many and complex. As noted in the chart above, there are approximately 10 common types of properties we evaluate. However, that doesn't include those properties that are unique or difficult to value. Additionally, the reasons for appeal are typically limited to the 8 reasons listed above. However, there are on occasions a new or unique appraisal theory that's posed by the assessor's office or taxpayer that requires legal or appraisal experience. Many of these appeals rely on an understanding of complex appraisal principles or the ability to read case laws. This highlights why our AAB staff focuses on ensuring that our members and staff are constantly learning about changes in property tax law. Next slide. So in addition to recruiting knowledgeable and experienced Assessment Appeals Board members, our county has focused on the training of our staff. Prior to the pandemic, we limited our training to 4 core principles: the reliance on providing the Revenue Taxation Code, California statutes, property tax rules, LTAs, and the BOE's Assessment Appeals Manual to our staff for them to review. We also cross-trained our staff in various units and sections by starting them in processing, then moving them to a clerking assignment. Our staff would then shadow experienced people to learn about day-to-day operations. And then lastly, we assigned staff to be teachers at the public education seminars where they offered information about the Assessment Appeals Board process. Next slide, please. So in this chart, in this upper half of the slide, we illustrate what we focused on with our training for our Assessment Appeals Board members. In the past, we focused on training based on the Board of Equalization's Assessment Appeals Board Manual, as well as our local board rules, statutes, annotations, and LTAs. We also provide on-the-job training for board members by allowing them to observe hearings for several months. And then we focus our studies on preparing for the self-study certification pursuant to Revenue Taxation Code 1624.01, wherein new members must complete their certification test through the SBE within a year of appointment. We encourage our board members to pass this test before they sit in on a panel. We also provided quarterly trainings focused on hearing procedures, appeal issue overviews, and some statutes and rules. So what we've done is we've now expanded the Assessment Appeals Board training, not only to our Assessment Appeals Board members, but we've expanded it to our staff. So along with the core Assessment Appeals Board training roles that we did in the past, which is noted above, we've also expanded it to the areas listed below. Here you'll see that we've augmented our training with subject matter experts. This is where we encourage our very knowledgeable Assessment Appeals Board members to serve as our in-house trainers regarding the law, appraisal standards, or processes based on their professional background and expertise. We've also provided focused training on topics that arise consistently at the Assessment Appeals Board, so as to ensure our board members are trained to recognize the issues while also ensuring they understand the concepts to provide a fair and equitable decision. These topics may include new construction, possessory interest, change in ownership, or appraisals of commercial property. We have also provided tools and resources such as compiling property tax rules or indexing them for easier use, highlighting often used statutes as a reference and guide for AAB panels to refer to in the middle of a hearing. We have also included a findings of fact writing session to instruct more members to write thorough findings of fact that provide sufficient details in their decision. There's also been a focus on highlighting certain cases that have been remanded back to the Assessment Appeals Board as a case study to improve our hearing experience for the parties and to ensure findings of facts are well written. And finally, we have enhanced our on-the-job training by not only continuing the observation of hearings in person or virtually, but we now have breakout groups or deliberations to talk with them about their experience. Next paragraph. Next slide, please. So what does the future hold for LA County's Assessment Appeals Board when it comes to training? This is where we look to continue to engage our stakeholders, such as the Assessor's Office, as well as tax advocates. We design a curriculum to help Assessment Appeals Board members understand the property tax assessment process and the challenges we face in Los Angeles County. We understand our county may be unique in the volume of applications we schedule. We are also focused on developing the skills and knowledge necessary to conduct fair and impartial assessment appeals hearings and make informed decisions about property valuations. So this may include updating our local AAB rules to acknowledge the new hybrid hearings that have worked so well to reduce our backlogs, while also including up-to-date information related to statutes, property tax laws, LTAs, and other materials on our website for the public. To continue to make it easier on our board members and hearing officers, we plan to develop digital electronic cheat sheets that allow for easy referencing of revenue taxation codes by topic, section, or words, so we can minimize the back and forth between board members and county council when they are just searching for language in a statute or rule book. We also will improve on our onboarding training curriculum by incorporating training programs focused on appraisal methods or complex hearing matters, such as change in ownership, possessory interest, or other complex commercial and business personal property. And lastly, we in encouraging more staff to train college of property tax laws and rules and confirming their legal knowledge and understanding of appraisal principles. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak. We want to continue to encourage training excuse me, of AAB members, which also helps to build confidence in their decisions, which can lead to a more satisfying and rewarding experience by advocates and taxpayers. And I could take any questions if people have any.
Thank you. I think we have a couple of questions for you. Let me start with, is it Member Gaines that you have here?
Yeah,
Member
thank you.
Gaines, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. Really well done and really clear and concise. And it looks like your requirements, you're looking for 5 years of experience in order to serve. And you mentioned accounting. Did you say appraisal and real estate? I'm trying to remember what you rattled off.
Correct.
Okay.
Essentially, someone could be an attorney. You could have real estate experience, and if you have certain levels of experience, let's say a real estate agent, you have to have a minimum amount of time, as well as other experiences that would help in serving as a board member.
Okay. All right. Good. And you've got your training program, but is that required or advised?
So each county has their own training program, and what we wanted to do is to highlight what LA does and to showcase why we are focused on training. And we wanted to highlight, and this also allows an opportunity to showcase to other counties that if they want to have something similar, we'd be happy to speak with people about what we're doing in LA County to train our assessment appeals board and share any information that we have.
Okay. So each county could set it up as they wished?
Correct.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And I'm just trying to, okay, so for the curriculum that you've developed, and we'll have to see what happens with the BOE in terms of whether we incorporate it as one of our classes too. I mean, we've got a lot to deal with here. But I just want to make sure, since I represent so many small counties, I want to make sure that what you're proposing can be put into place and used by even small counties.
Yeah, so just to let you know, in California, we have 2 associations that serve the clerk of the boards who oversee the Assessment Appeals Board. That's the CCBSA as well as Casio COB. And in both of these associations, we work closely with our colleagues in small to mid-size and large counties, and we share information like this quite often. And we actually have a conference this year, 2 of them, in both in Northern California, that we will be sharing this type of information to our colleagues. Obviously, depending on the size of the county and the resources that they have, sometimes they may not be able to incorporate all of it, but we are here to help and provide any assistance we can that would help them in minimizing the amount of staff resources they have to build their curriculum, and that's kind of why we're here today.
Okay, so it's your opinion that this curriculum could be used in any of the 58 counties?
Yes, and many of the resources that we use, it's straight from your staff and Board of Equalization's website. So much of what we do is to synthesize and ensure that we're able to pass on the information and knowledge that the Board of Equalization already provides. Then it's a matter of try to automating or systemizing certain references. So for example, LTAs or your, let's say, case law or even statutes, if we could find those that are used often in our assessment appeals board, because it may be different in other counties, then what we could do is we could shorten the amount of time of research that is needed for each panel as they hear different applications.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Seeing no other hands or comments, let me turn to any of the county assessors that here that might have a question for you. I see one coming up. Welcome back.
Hello again, Christine Lee, Kings County Assessor. So in my county, the Board of Supervisors sits as the Board of Equalization, and unfortunately, there's no requirements for training, and it's very apparent in our appeals hearings because there's no laws or rules saying that the Board of Supervisors have to be trained. So as much as I think this is such a beneficial thing to have the the Assessment Appeals Board, AAB, trained and updated on laws and rules, there's an inequity amongst the counties that don't have assessment appeals boards that are appointed by their Board of Supervisors when the Board of Supervisors are actually acting in that capacity because, for example, in my county, when we're doing a presentation, we have to start from scratch because the Board of Supervisors are unfortunately not very knowledgeable in assessment appeals or even the basic rules, things such as Prop 13 and just our basic property tax system. They don't understand it very well. So it's very hard, I think, for them to make accurate opinions when they haven't been trained and are not even, they don't even have that requirement. So I think it would be very beneficial to have something, and I know this isn't the exact forum for that probably, but to have something in the rules or laws that for County Board of Equalizations that are sitting in place of the AAB to have a requirement of training, just similar to how the assessors have to be certified to do their job and have to have ongoing training each year. I think that would be very important to create equity amongst the state. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I
Can I
think
ask
we
a
had a question
question?
for you, Ms. Lee. If you come back.
Assessor Lee, if I could, real quick, I'm just trying to figure out do you have a sense of how many counties has the Board of Supervisor act as the Assessment Appeals Board?
You know, I don't know the answer
Okay.
to that, but I do know there's a few. I had that question posed actually by our grand jury recently. They asked who in the Central Valley had similar, who in the Central Valley actually had assessment appeals boards. And it was most of the Central Valley counties, but I want to say Mendocino maybe. There's a couple in the Central Valley that do not, and I didn't check throughout the whole state.
Okay. Is that something that we could do at the BOE? Or maybe the CAA does that? Could you ask your membership? It'd be nice to know.
There's about
15, okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Yeah, so you've got a jurisdictional issue.
Right.
Yeah, there's no requirement, so I'm not quite sure how you handle that.
I've made a few efforts to send the appeals manual to the Board of Supervisors in a friendly email to try to encourage them. But, as you can imagine, they don't want to be directed by the assessor on what their duties are. So.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
Well, it's an interesting question. I wonder if that would just take some legislation or something. Because I think what she's raising is a good point. It should be uniform throughout the state, right? Because right now it's, especially in those counties where they're acting in the dual role, and in many cases don't have that expertise. But we have another. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Vasquez. John Tudor, Napa County Assessor. I'm probably the only person in the room who served on a local Board of Equalization when I was county assessor back before any of you were born in the 70s. The reason that I am the assessor today is because, and I agree with my colleague from Kings County, it's not a great idea to have the Board of Supervisors be the Board of Equalization. But the reason I'm the assessor today is because I became fascinated by the hearings that I heard when I was a member of the local Board of Equalization, and that's why later when my prior assessor retired that I ran for the job. But I do want to say that Napa County we just switched from a Board of Equalization to an AAB. And I think if you talk to your legal team, there is this issue you raised, Chairman Vasquez, about can the legislature require boards of supervisors to take certain training? And that might be something that your board could direct your staff to investigate, maybe get back to Assessor Lee and see if there's something. Because again, as a former Board of Supervisors, I'm very jealous of my priority and prerogative not to be told what to do by the legislature. But on the other hand, having heard Mr. Yen's presentation, clearly it would be better for boards of supervisors to appoint AABs, and whether because we constitutionally as supervisors, or I did constitutionally as a supervisor, have the right to hear those hearings, I'm not sure that could be taken away without some form of constitutional amendment put on the ballot. So I just wanted to say I empathize with Assessor Lee, having been a Board of Equalization member, and do let you know that Napa County recently dropped out of the 16 and became one of the remaining counties that now have assessment appeals boards.
Yeah, appreciate your thoughts. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Jordan, come on, Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, how are you doing? Good to see you again. I actually want to just applaud Mr. Yen for bringing this forward. As he's highlighted, this issue requires a partnership, not just with the assessors, the Board of Equalization, but also our clerk of the boards, that for the counties administer the appeals process for us. And I'm actually a former assessment appeals board member from the County of San Diego, and I could say the education issue is extremely important. We are undereducated with resources. We don't get the resources there. And the BOE actually has wonderful resources I found that the online appraisal certificate class, that the basic appraisal certificate that we do online, the community college course that the BOE offers, was very educational for me personally in my growth in the appraisal practice, that I think every AAB member would benefit from that. I think we also have to consider things such as budgeting at the county level. I think we should encourage our counties to invest in their assessment appeal board members getting hours for continuing education, and also some more standardized education opportunities. And I thought the leadership yesterday, and I appreciate Chairman Vasquez and Vice Chair Lieber postponing passing something, but more in taking the opportunity to engage the clerk community that we have to bring in, the county funding community, even potential state funding for additional dollars to educate our AAB members would be really important, so no county feels the burden, and make sure that those resources are available. And I think that the BOE is well situated as an independent party to help bring education of basic ideas. I think Mr. Yen highlighted the resources, which I think are exceptional. Delivering revenue and tax code at the fingertips of our AAB members should be something that we would want at every county across the state, and not necessarily put in jeopardy dollars that from uneducated decisions. In my county, our assessment appeals about 3,000 this year, and it totals about $46 billion of revenue that's in question. And so, again, my county is about getting to the right value, not a revenue, but part of that is having partners at the Assessment Appeals Board that understand the law and, again, are qualified to call those balls and strikes as well and make sure fairness is present. And so their education is extremely important, and I hope that we have more conversations on this, and I appreciate you taking the time necessary, but I really want to compliment LA County and Mr. Yen for the work that he's done here to really kickstart this topic and make sure we're going down the right path. So, thank you.
Sounds like we're going to get San Francisco up here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and to members of the board. Thank you for having me today. Joaquin Torres, Assessor Recorder for San Francisco. I just wanted to echo the comments that were being made by Mr. Marks from San Diego. Even in a well-resourced county like San Francisco, the need for assessment appeals boards, independent bodies, again, funding decisions made in coordination with the president of the Board of Supervisors there, they still do need support. And I very much appreciate the way in which that support and training has been outlined in the presentation. We've already been in discussions with my staff about how we can make use of that to apply it in San Francisco. But again, I do think that level of proactive engagement with those independent bodies is necessary as well. It's always a dance in terms of how do we balance out what their roles and functions are, what resources they have, and then also how we're advocating directly for our offices as well. So just want to echo that sentiment. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Looks like Imperial Valley wants to weigh in.
I'll keep it short. Robert Menville, Imperial County. We are a county that has gone from an appointed assessment appeals board back to the Board of Supervisors as Imperial County Board of Equalization. We had an appointed assessment appeals board for 10 years, and it was a very efficient way for us to deal with a very large workload of assessment appeals caused by the financial crisis of 2008. Our assessment appeals board workload is very low now. Board of Supervisors decided that they were going to take over the duty, as they told me, of making adjustments to property tax assessments. They've had 3 hearings so far, and so far it's been smooth, but I encourage them to look at all the training material that's available through the Board of Equalization. The clerk of the board has made that available to them. I doubt with their schedules that they've had the time to look at that and seriously look at the material and what the responsibilities are. And I am concerned that there could be some rough waters up ahead for our Board of Supervisors when they run into some very challenging appeals. So I like what was presented today by Los Angeles County, and I really do think that we need to have some kind of equity in assessment appeals. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there might be a question for you, though. Hang on a second. Member Gaines, or comment?
I don't have a question or a comment, but I'm just wondering, and I'm putting him on the spot, but I would like to hear from another assessor in my district on
Oh,
this,
sure.
if you don't mind. And Assessor John DeVille, would you be willing to kind of give us an update in terms of what's happening in El Dorado County? I'm just trying to get a feel for what's going on
What's
in
going
my,
on, so,
in my
yeah.
district.
No, this is helpful. I didn't realize some of them had this independence. Welcome, come on up.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. John DeVille, El Dorado County Assessor. Yeah, we're struggling with this as well as a new assessor. I'm finishing up my 9th month. I've received a lot of questions from the representative from the clerk of the board about certain things, process, and it's made me uncomfortable at times because there needs to be that separation of duties. So I've been very careful with responding to different inquiries, and there's a need for increased, enhanced training. So I was very pleased to see this presentation, and I'm going to be taking, hoping that I can get some of these resources that I can share with my board, my clerk, so we can kind of keep things separate.
Yeah. So it's
I
the
think
Board
that's
of
important for the
Yeah.
people that are coming in and appealing. So
Is that the Board of Supervisors that acts as the Board
That
of
is correct,
Equalization
yes.
locally? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have our own AAB.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a challenge that we have. The clerk of the board is not trained as well as and we've had a lot of turnover, so we need those resources. So hopefully we can borrow some resources from
Sure.
Assessor Prime.
Yeah, wonderful. Great, thank you for the input.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Any other counties here today? Well, I think this was helpful, because I wasn't aware that some of them actually did it on their own and were able to do it independently. And I think it was mentioned by, I think one of the counties or a couple of them, that when they do that, they really don't, in many cases, don't really know what they're doing. They need to be educated along the way. So I guess as we're looking at this, I know we're going to be looking at it down the road. We should look into that, and maybe we need to possibly talk about working with one of our legislators, if it takes legislation to make it uniform throughout the state, to move in that direction. It might be, I think, a way to go. Vice Chair Lieber, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I want to thank Mr. Yen very much for coming and presenting on this, and also really working to make it transferable knowledge. I think there are a number of counties who are represented here today who would like to utilize that and avail themselves of the resources that LA County has been able to put together. So thank you very much. And as we grapple with this issue that obviously has so much impact on resources within the counties for schools, fire districts, et cetera, that are so vital to quality of life and survival within counties, I think that perhaps we can tap into the CAA as a partner in developing some information about what the picture looks like in each of the 58 counties, and work to see where in the legislature there's been discussion of this, or the state auditor, et cetera, and start to develop some information like that. So maybe we could be working with CAA to put together a survey tool to reach out to the assessors and find out where the pressure points are. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hands or, oh wait, looks like, oh wait, Claude's coming back up. Come on up.
You know, as I was on the Board of Equalization, and it's clear to me that we do have to have legislation. However, the assessors should have a good assessment appeals board. So to get it through the legislature, a lot of supervisors will say, oh, we don't want that power taken away from us. The solution is that every county where the supervisors act on the assessment appeal board, that's great if they pass the test. If they don't pass the test, then they have to appoint somebody to act in their, that's create an assessment appeal board. That way, you won't have the supervisors opposing you as long as you give them the opportunity to continue doing what they want. If they don't want to do it, then they have to replace that particular individual with a assessment appeal board selectee like we have in our county. The supervisors will approve somebody to be on our assessment appeal board. So that's the solution and my idea of how you get it through the legislature without the supervisors opposing you. And I think that if they know what they're doing, that's great. If they don't, it's bad. Thank you for listening to me.
No, that's a good point. You give them that opportunity if they want to conduct in that field or that arena and play that role, they need to pass some type of training, right? Which makes sense. With that, seeing no other hands, I think we're good. Mr. Young, I see you still on here. Thank you for your presentation. I'm glad you were able to come back and join us and give us the full-blown today. Really appreciate it, and I know we'll be circling back with you as we move forward with possible recommendations and new direction in this area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair.
With that, members, I think we're done.
Ready to
Well,
go to adjournment? Yes. Mhm.
As we move into adjournment, let me just, I'd like to, unless anybody else has any adjournments, I have one, and it looks like there might be another one. It's with a heavy heart that I announce the passing of Dr. Jacqueline Mora, who was our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services in the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. She fought hard for 5 months but didn't win the battle over cancer. At a young age of 46, we lost her. But she'll be sorely missed, not only by the educational community, but the community as a whole in the Santa Monica Malibu community. She was a young lady that came to us from the Central Valley as an educator and went to school at UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, and USC, where she finished up her doctorate. But she had such an impact on many of our educational programs, especially for those that came to us with as English as their second language. As she came to California from Mexico at a young age, learning English herself. And if you would have met her, she was such a rising star, and I was looking forward to seeing her having more of an impact in our community. She was our assistant soup, and I think she was gearing up and would have probably been our next superintendent at the next opening. But due to this illness, that will not happen. So I just wanted to close and adjourn our meeting in her honor. And she is survived by her mother, Maria Mora, her brother, David Mora, and her sister, Vanessa Mora. And she had a fiance, Eduardo Magallanes, who had just proposed to her before she had this illness. So it's with a heavy heart that I'm adjourning our meeting today in her honor. And with that, I believe our deputy controller might have another one as well.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank you to all the assessors on this very, very great day. I did, on behalf of the controller, we mourn the horrific and shocking loss of Deputy Ryan Klickenbrummer, age 30, of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
Oh, yeah.
He was fatally shot in an ambush while in his patrol cruiser outside of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Palmdale Station on September 16th, 2023. An 8-year veteran of the department and a third-generation law enforcement officer, Deputy Ryan followed in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. His selfless commitment to service and justice for all represented the very best of the Golden State. So in this time of mourning, we honor his legacy, and the Controller sends her deepest sympathies to Deputy Ryan's fiance. I believe he actually just got engaged 4 days prior to this horrific tragedy. His family and the men and women of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Deputy Ryan's devotion to the community and the country will never be forgotten. May you rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. And it's, I mean, it's kind of ironic. This month is I think it's also mental health, right? Is national, and I understand that that was part of the issue with this young man that took this man's life. But with that, we will officially adjourn this meeting and reconvene our next meeting. Well, we'll have a hearing actually prior to our next meeting, October the 19th in Santa Monica on the housing front. But then our next board meeting will be up here in Sacramento on October the 24th and 25th.
That's correct.
And with that, we'll officially adjourn this meeting and then invite you all to our cafeteria, which I believe is just as you come out here to the, I think you make a right and a left.
Left. That's the elevator.
And you'll run into where we have a spread there for your, for you to have some lunch with your assessors, assessors with our board members. And thank you for coming out and looking forward for the interaction that'll take place. But this will officially end this meeting, and we'll go ahead and allow us to interact without a violation because the meeting will be over.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
If I could just make one quick
Oh,
announcement.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just the assignment of the different rooms.
Oh, that's
for the
right, for those
breakout
that want to
session.
meet out in breakout rooms.
So this auditorium will be for District 1, Mr. Gaines's team. The Dronenberg room will be for Vice Chair Lieber's team. And then District 3 will be in Conference Room 107, which is right up by the lobby. All righty. And District 4 will be in room number 105, again by the lobby.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.